Hi everyone and welcome to Green Minimalist Life. In this video I will talk about heuristics and biases in shopping behavior, and I will explain how marketing experts use these strategies to influence consumers when buying products. We are making thousands of decisions every day, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. These decisions include also our shopping behavior. So it is therefore more important to know how these decision processes in our mind work when buying products, and to what extent marketing strategies we are imposed to. Since we make thousands of decisions every day, our brain uses mental shortcuts, also called heuristics, to make decisions quicker and easier. Yet, our quick and intuitive decision making through heuristics can also lead to errors or biases, where our perception is distorted. I have researched some biases and heuristics that can influence our decision making when buying products. So let's get started. Anchoring bias is a cognitive bias which influences a person's decisions through pre-existing information or a reference point called an anchor. Anchoring bias is mostly used by marketing experts when defining prices. For example, the researcher Endowment and Kahneman have demonstrated this phenomenon in an experiment. The participants of their study had to spin a wheel which stopped at the number 10 or 65. In the next step, the participants had to guess what percentage of the UN countries were African. The result was the following. The participants who were exposed to a smaller number, so in this case 10, estimated a lower percentage of African countries. In contrast, those with a larger number of 65 have estimates with a higher percentage. This phenomenon can be reasoned by the fact that people who were exposed to the lower number 10 adjusted their estimate from that psychological starting point. Hence, our initial exposure to a number can influence our perception and subsequent decision making. In marketing, the anchoring bias is used to nudge product prices. Imagine you would go into a shop and the first t-shirt you would see would cost 500 euros. If you see the second t-shirt that would cost $50, you tend to see the second t-shirt as inexpensive. However, if the first t-shirt would have cost 50 euros as well, most likely you would not see the second t-shirt as inexpensive. As you can see, the first pre-existing information we're exposed to can influence our perception and decision making. The next strategy marketing experts most often use is the framing effect. The framing effect is a cognitive bias which influences a person's decisions based on how options are presented in a given context. Heuristics and Kahneman asked their participants in their study to imagine that the US is preparing for an Asian disease which is expected to kill 600 people. There are two programs that are presented to the students to deal with the problem. If program A is adopted, 200 people will be saved. If program B is adopted, there is a 1/3 probability that 600 people will be saved and 2/3 of a probability that no people will be saved. As you can see, both programs give the same number of deaths, but they are framed in different ways. The result of the study show that 72% of the participants choose program A, so the positive framing, whereas 28% choose B, the negative framing. Hence, even the outcomes were the same, more participants choose the most positive option. One example in marketing is when you want to buy a laptop where you can either choose between an option where you get 20% off or 120 euros off. Most likely you would choose the second option as higher numbers appeal to us better or more positive, although the value might be equal or sometimes even cheaper. Another strategy that marketing experts use is the endowment effect, which is a cognitive bias which influence a person's decisions in a way that personal owned items are valued more and retained compared to the case when the same item would not be owned. This is explained by the phenomenon called loss aversion. Generally, people try to minimize losses and try to maximize gains. For example, if you could choose between having 25 euros right now, for sure, or having a 50% chance of having $500 or euros or 0 euros, probably you would choose the first option. More strangely, we value things more or are afraid of losses when we own something. In a study of Daniel Kahneman and Tversky, participants were given a coffee mug. They had to sell or swap it for an equally priced alternative. This alternative was a pen in this case. Interestingly, the participants wanted to be paid twice for the money for the coffee mug as they would be willing to pay for the pen. So once we have bought something, even if we don't use it, we feel personally attached to it and value the item more. IKEA, for example, allows people to return some items back within 4 weeks, if you decide not to keep the product. Yet, until a certain period of time has passed, we feel like owning it, and we most likely won't return the item back to the shop. The last idea I want to talk about is the scarcity effect, which is a cognitive bias which influences a person's decisions based on whether an item is scarce or in abundance. Items that are scarce are generally valued more. In a study conducted by Stephen Warchild, participants were asked to rate the quality and willingness to pay for a cookie when they were either contained in a jar with 10 or 2 cookies. Participants who rated the jar of 2 cookies valued the cookies higher in quality, and their willingness to pay was 11% more. Thus, the scarcity of a product can influence a perception of the value of an item. Marketers often communicate that products are offered in a limited amount, making consumers feel like to buy more. Or you might have noticed when you have done online shopping that there is some information displayed that the item that you're looking for has only limited items available in stock, making you to buy this item faster. So to conclude, we humans are prone to biases. Marketing experts might take advantage of this by using different techniques to influence our decisions. So my suggestion is to be aware of these techniques next time you want to buy something. It can also help to take more time before you buy something. So in the end, the golden rule is always when buying things to ask yourself the questions, why do I buy it for? And do I really need it? So what are your thoughts about this topic? Please feel free to share in the comments below. So thanks for watching my video today. If you want to keep updates about decision science topic, then feel free to subscribe my channel.